We learned in Unit 1 procedure abstraction, right? Can you tell me what is meant by procedure abstraction? Why procedure abstraction? Today, less number of students are attending. May I know the reason, if anyone knows? Students, can you see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So what is meant by procedure abstraction? So we will be, in order to obtain a modularity, okay? So in order to solve a complex problem, we will divide the problem into sub-problem, and then we will write a procedure which will call other procedures, and the details of procedures are not known in the higher level. So that is in the abstraction. So the same concept, we are going to use it for data. So the earlier sessions, the procedures what we are writing, that will be operating on a primitive data. Primitive data in the sense it may be with respect to a simple data like integers, real numbers, or a string, whatever, right? It was operating on a very simple data, but there is a need to construct a complex data in many applications. For example, we would like to manipulate a complex number. We would like to manipulate, do some operations on rational numbers, right? We would like to operate on some equations, polynomials. Okay, so how to construct the data a little complexity. That is how to denote a rational number, how to denote a complex number, how to denote a polynomial. Okay, so there is a question mark. Okay, the abstract procedures earlier what we discussed, it was operating on a simple data type, but that is a requirement. The data may be of a different kind, not integer, not a simple real number. Okay, it is a kind of a complex number. Okay, so now before going to the abstraction and what is provided in the Lisp language, with the help of that we can build the little complex data. Okay, so for which the if you take a list, it is going to provide you pairs and list. Okay, pairs and list is today's topic. What is meant by pair and what is meant by list, and is a kind of, we can relate to other programming languages. The list is nothing but a kind of array, right? The pair means, by seeing the name itself, we can have a kind of array with two elements, right? So this Lisp language is going to give us the pairs and list data type, by which we can able to manipulate our real life complex data. Okay, so that is a topic. Okay, so what is meant by data abstraction, we know, and there are some examples also we have done. Okay, and in list there are a set of procedures available called as selectors and constructors. That is the topic of today. That means I told that pairs and list, and then some functions, procedures which will select the data from the pair and from the list. Okay, right. So I'm going to take my racket and I will simultaneously execute. You can also execute if you have it. You can start your racket. Okay. So now if you look at, this is my environment, the language is the racket, and the first function which is helpful for identifying the given data is a pair or not. Okay, so pair question mark is the name of the procedure which will identify whether the given argument is a pair or not. So what is the argument I have given? It is 1. 1 is not a pair, it's a single number. So pair procedure will check whether it is a pair, or not, the given data is a pair or not. It will tell you the true or false. So I'm getting hash shape in the sense it is a false. Okay, let's take another example. Pair of cons. Cons is a procedure which is helpful for constructing a pair. Okay, cons means construct. Construct what? 1, 2. That is, you are going to construct a pair. Okay, so after constructing, I'm just going for checking whether it is a pair or not. It is returning true. Okay, so you have to know another procedure. The second procedure is a cons. Cons is a procedure which is helpful for constructing a pair. Okay, so there is another pair. We can also use a sort of pair, list. There is a list data structure, a procedure which will construct a list. List is a procedure by for which I can able to type something. Okay, give a data, and if you look at this particular code, list 1, 2. 1, 2 is a, these are all elements of a list. Now I'm checking whether it is a pair or not. Yeah, there are two numbers available, so it is a pair. Okay, so list is another, the third procedure which is useful for constructing a list. Now, in the list, you can also have any number of elements, but I have only two here, but you can also have any number of elements. Let us take 1, 2, 3, 4, and I am checking whether it is a pair or not. What it is? It is returning you a pair. Why? Because I tell you the reason later. Okay, I tell you the reason later. So now you know what is meant by pair and cons and list. Okay, and you can represent list in this particular specific form. You start with a quote, single quote, and then inside a bracket you can give the data. Okay, so instead of using the list keyword, you can also use the single quote. Okay, now another thing is, can you have a null pair? Okay, empty pair. Let us check. I have in this particular word PPT, you can see pair of, what is this? List. List does not contain any element. List does not contain any element. That means it has a null value. Okay, so I'm just going to check the null list is a pair or not. So single quote and then open. There is no element. There are no elements, and then close it. Okay, so it is going to give you false. Okay, so now in this particular slide, I'm just explaining you the procedures. First of all, the procedure cons. Cons is useful for constructing a pair, and then list is useful for constructing a list data type, a set of elements. You can, what is the difference between cons and list? I know the cons is it will accept only two, and with a list I can also give more number of elements. And pair is a procedure which is useful for testing the given argument is a pair or not. And another point is, instead of a list keyword, you can also give a single quote, and then within a bracket you can give set of elements. And we also have null list. Don't pass any elements, it will tell you it is a null list. Okay, it is useful for constructing a null list. Okay, now another thing is, there is a procedure called null. Given the list or pair, it will check whether it is null or not, it has some elements or not. That this is very important when you are using it in a if statement or constructing a iteration loops. Okay, so this will be useful. So now I'm going to check whether the list is null or not. Okay, so null question mark is the procedure, and you can pass the argument. Okay, so null question mark 1 is the argument, it is not a null. Okay, and null question mark see, is very user friendly, and it is easy to guess what may be the procedure. The procedure name and the meaning are attached, binded together, so you can recall at any time. Okay, so no need to remember anything, right? So null question mark and then 1 3. Okay, so what is this 1 3 is a list, and we are going to check whether it is a null or not. It is not null, definitely. Okay, let me pass null value here. Null question mark, and I'm passing a null list by single quote, then bracket bracket. So it is returning true. So now let us take another example. The CDR is a new one. I tell you later. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Right. So let us recall how to, that is, what is the use of cons? Okay, how to construct a pair. So now, just a minute, I just, yeah. So how to construct a pair? Okay, cons, and then pass some argument. There should be two arguments, 30, 40. Okay, so what it returns? What is the return type? Return type is nothing but what? Can you tell me by seeing this output? Single quote within bracket, the data is there. So what is this? This is what? The cons is useful for constructing what?
A list or a pair.
Yeah, it is a list. Yeah, it is a list. Why? Because single quote and then the first element, and it is actually inserting dot and then the second element. Okay, so again, we can construct a list. Okay, cons one, and then right. So if you look at the content here, cons one is the first argument, and second argument is a empty list. Yes or no? That is a single quote and open close. It is an empty list. So what it construct? What it construct? It construct a list with the first argument, and the second one is ignored. It is the second one is ignored. So this is the point you have to note. So cons, what it does, it returns a newly allocated pair whose first element is the first argument and second element is the second argument. Okay, so it constructs a pair. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so there is another procedure called as car. Car. Car is useful for returning the first element in a pair. Okay, it is useful for returning the first element in a pair. Car, the list 1, 2. What is the first element? It is 1. So car is going to return you the first element. Okay, so I'm going to use the car. I'm building a list. So always it returns you the first one. Okay, the car, actually we are talking about the list. Inside a list we can also have another list. Okay, and inside a function, one call and another call can be made, that also possible. So car of, then I'm going to construct cons. Okay, 34, 56. So I'm constructing a pair with the elements 34, 56, and the car will return what? The car will return what?
34.
34. So always the car will return the first element. Okay, and there is another function CDR. CDR returns the second element in the pair. Okay, always it returns the second element. So let me apply the CDR. CDR to the list 4, 5. Okay, so what it will return? It will return the 5. Okay, so if you look at the return type, it is returning the list with the second argument. Okay, now I just expand my input, 4, 5, something. Okay. What is CDR? CDR returns from the second element till the last. Okay, it returns a list with from second element onwards to the last element. It returns as a list. Okay, so here the second element is 6, 7, and the last element is 8. All three elements are given as a list. Okay, right. So if the list has two elements, definitely it will take only the second element. If the element has more than two elements, from the second onwards till the last element, it constructs a list and returns the list. Okay, that is the task of CDR. Okay, another case, CDR, I'm going to pass a list with a single argument. What it will return? Okay, CDR, as of the logic, from second element onwards till the last, it has to return. But now the list, you have only one element. So what is the interpretation? The second element is null. Okay, there is no second element, third element, etc. So what it returns? It returns a null. So the CDR of for this particular list, okay, with which has a two, is null. Okay, it is empty. Okay, so this one you have to understand. So if you create a list with a single argument, the second argument is null. Okay, let's move on to, okay. So I just type null. There is a null value. This constant is recognizable by the Lisp. In many languages, the null, it can be slash zero. Okay, in C language or something, and here null is possible as like the DBMS. In the DBMS, we also have a null value, right? So null means here it is a empty list. Okay, so null constant you can use. Okay, or otherwise if you construct a empty list, single quote open open. Okay, this will also uh, return you the null. So let us check whether both are equal or not. That means the null constant and single quote open close both are equal or not. Let us check. There is a procedure called as EQ. Okay, EQ question mark. It is useful for checking whether both arguments are equal or not. So the first argument is a null constant, and the second argument is the null is represented in the form of a list. So now it may return you true or false, but now it is returning true. That means null constant and null list, empty list, both are same. Okay, I'm just calling for some other parameter equal, consider it as a t, and then open close. Sorry, t is not, it's a variable is undefined. Okay, so eq question mark, and just to give you a value, it is returning false. So empty list is not equal to 4. So EQ question mark is a procedure which will be checking the first argument and the second argument, and whether it is equal or not. If it is equal, it is returning hash t. If it is not equal, it is returning you hash f. Okay, and then there is another procedure called as list question mark. Whether the given argument is a list or not, I just say 2. List a question mark 2. Whether 2 is a list? No. I just say list a question mark. I may pass a list like just I pass empty list. Yeah, this is a list. Okay. I use something like it's a kind of list within bracket list 4, 5, 6. Oh, this is true because it is a list. Okay, I'm just calling once again with a different type of argument, like 2, 3, 4, 5. What is that? It's not. What is this? We don't know, right? So what I will do is I will modify like list. Sorry, question mark. How to construct a list? Yeah, single quote, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the correct syntax. You can't give like this within bracket 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't give. You have to say it is a list. So list keyword you have to use or single quote you have to use. Okay, right. And another thing is another case list of I'm going to construct cons I can apply right for constructing a list or pair. So cons 1, okay, and then cons 2. So how many open? One more. Yeah. Can we explain this one what I have done here? I'm just checking. Okay, but cons inside cons. What will happen? It will go to the inner cons. You are going to construct a pair. Cons, the first data is true and second data is the empty list. Okay. So that list, it will return you a list, right? So what it will return? List with 2 and null. Null will be there or not? Null will not be there, right? If the second argument is not there, it will just return you a list with 2 and then cons 1 and then list 2. So what it will construct? Any guesses? I just remove this one. Students, are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
See, cons 1, cons 2, empty. What it will return?
A list with 1, 2, and empty set.
Okay, so just a minute, bracket is correct. Yeah, a list with 1 and 2. Okay, so this is the way cons is going to work. Now, if we are using list question mark, then definitely it is going to return you true. Okay, right. Move on to the next. Now, let us talk about the list. List is a keyword which can inside you can also have list inside another list. A kind of you can have a list kind, for example 5 and another list 5, 6, and inside another list. See, we understand what I'm saying. The element of a list can be another list. So if you look at here 4, 5, for a 4 one list is there, and for 5 another element is another list. Like that you can have nested brackets, nested element. A list can have another list, that list can have another list, that list can have another list. Okay, so this kind of complexity you can have. So how to create a list with the elements of another list? Okay, so how to construct a list after all? List is a keyword and you just pass the elements. This we know. Now I'm just going for constructing the complex, a nested list where the elements are another list. So list and the first element is another list. Okay. And for this, one of the elements is another list. And again, I can have a list with 7, 8, 9. I'm closing it. Close, close, close. Yeah. So this complex list you can create, right? So there are set of elements. The first element is 3 and the second element is 5. The third element is a bigger list, and in that the second element is another list, and so on. Okay. Now let me apply car. Okay. So car of I just copy paste. Yeah. So if you apply car of, what happens? If you apply car of this constructed list, what happens? Okay, instead, you just apply the CDR. Okay, let us come to this complex part a little later. You just understand how to construct a complex list. The list can have another list as an element. Okay, right. Next, there is another procedure called as build list. Build list, if you take the syntax, give the number of elements in the list, and then you can just say values constant. What happens is, from 0, starting from 0, n minus 1 till the n minus 1, the data will be populated. The data will be constructed. All the data will be constructed as a list. Okay, build list. This is the easiest way. You want some data starting with 0 and continuously in an incremental fashion till some number you want to generate a data. So go for the build list. If you look at the build list syntax, the first one is number of elements, and then you can pass a constant. This is a constant. Values is nothing but not a variable. It is a constant. Okay. So what happens is 0 to 9. All the list is constructed with 0 to 9 elements. And now take the syntax build list 5. You can also have a procedure. Okay. You can also have a procedure, lambda procedure. So what happens is, it will iterate through 0. So lambda of 0 will be calculated, lambda of 1 will be calculated, etc. etc. So lambda of 0, what happens is 0 into 0. Lambda of 1, 1 into 1. Lambda of 2, 2 into 2. So that's why you are getting here 3 into 3, 9, 4 into 4, 16, right? So if you know the procedure of how to generate a number, pass that procedure here as a second argument and the number of elements. Okay, so build list is another procedure which is useful for building some list with some values, initial values. So I want 20 elements, and then I'm just writing the constant values. So it will generate a list containing elements from 0 to 19. Next, build a list with 10 elements. Okay, and for which I'm going to pass the lambda function, lambda of x. Okay, and my procedure is, tell me some procedure, maybe x plus 2. Shall I write like this, x plus 2? So plus x, is it right? Close the lambda and close the build list. Yeah, so what happens is, it is taking 0, 0 plus 2, 2. So that's why it is starting by 2. And 10 values, so the last value is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. So till 11, it is going to generate the data. Okay, so build a list is another procedure supported in Lisp in order to generate some set of values. So let's move on to next procedure. There is a length. Obviously, we need, what is the length of the list? How many number of elements are there? We would like to use it in our procedure. So there is a length ready-made function is available, procedure is available. So in this example, list length of list 1, 2, 3, 4, it is returning 4. There are 4 elements are there. Length with the empty list, it is 0. Okay. And another procedure is appending two lists, concatenating two lists. So in any language, if they are introducing any data structure, obviously it will provide methods as well. Even in Java, if you look at, there are methods. If the new class is available, there are methods which will be writing the data into properties or returning some data or updating something, right? So likewise here, we have length procedure, we have append procedure. The append procedure is useful for concatenating two or more lists. Okay, so what all the arguments given, it will append all the elements and construct a list. Okay, so you look at this one, append of list 1 to list 3 4, list 5 6, list 7 8. Okay, all the elements will be will be put together, and it is going to give you a new list. Okay, so this is self explanatory. Length of, and then give the list. Okay, and append this, give the list, right? So the arguments for the append, not only two, it can be more than two. So the first example takes two lists, and the second example takes four number of list. It can be n number of list you can pass it. Okay, it is not necessary that you have to use the list keyword. You can also use a single quote as well. Okay, single quote, bracket 1 2, single quote 3 4, single quote 5 6, etc. So we know two different forms of representing the list. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next one, reversing the list. Reverse, what it will do, it reverse the elements. The last one will come as a first one, and the first one will go as a last element. So the reverse is also available. Reverse of list 1 2 3 4. You can see 4 3 2 1. It is returning a list with the elements reversing in it. Okay, so the next very interesting one, CAARB. We know car, CAR, right? CAR function, what it will do, it will return you the first element in the list. Now one more A is added. What happens? Okay, this is a very interesting one. This is nothing but this is a shorthand for car of B. How many A's are there? Two. Okay, so two A's, that means car and car of B, and then again find a car. Okay, so now let's take an example. CAR, the list 1 2 3 4. Okay, the first element is a list, second element is or atomic number, and fourth element is atomic number. So this whole thing is a list. Car, what it will do, tell me how you are getting one, how we are getting answer as one. The first car, the inside car, what it will return, students?
In one,
The first car will return what?
the what is the first card? Like we will be taking 3 4 na or 1 2.
Car always will fetch the first element of the list.
Yes,
So
yes.
here in this list, what is the first element? The first element is the list, right? Second element is 3, fourth element, third element is 4. The first element is 1 2. So this list will be written by the first car, and then for that result, what is the car?
Yes, ma'am. So the
Yeah.
first will be
Ah,
written, and then from 1 3 4, 1 will be written. So
one will
this,
be written. Yeah, yeah. So the first car will return you a list, small list 1 2. Okay, small list 1 2. And then again, car of one list 1 2, it will return you 1. Okay, the first element of a list 1 2 is 1. Okay, so next we move on to CADR. Okay, it's looking little strange, a combination of car and CDR. What CDR will do? CDR will return elements from the second onwards till the last. Okay, now now you are going to, after getting CDR, you want to apply the car. So what is the meaning? After all, what you will fetch? What is the semantic of this? CDR will fetch you all the elements starting with the second element. Car will fetch you the first element. So, what is the meaning? What it will fetch? Can you give a general meaning to
We
CADR?
will only have the second element.
Yes, yes, it will return you only the second element. Okay, so CDRB from second onwards to last element, and after returning this CAR, it will fetch only the second element. Okay, so in this example, what will be the data?
2, ma'am.
Uh, no. First, you have to go for the inner one, CDR of V. So consider this is V.
3, ma'am.
Yeah, CDR of V is the second element is what? 3, no? First element is a smallest, second element is 3. So 3 comma 4 it will return. 3, the list with 3, 4 it will return. And then apply the CAR 2, 3, 4. So what is the first element? 3 only, no? So on the whole, CADR is useful for returning the second element. Yeah, this is the way you can use this combination of CDR and CAR in order to fetch the particular element. Okay, let's move on to the next interesting one. Yeah, take this CDR of this one. CDAR. In the earlier case, it is different. This is CDAR. So which one is coming first and which one is coming next? While writing the function, what you have to do is what is coming after C? It is D, right? So CDR. And then what is next? A. That is the car. So the inner one is car, outer one is CDR. Okay. So now CDR of this list. What is that? This implies car we have to apply first and then the CDR. So if you apply the car to this one, the first element is a very bigger list. And after that, if you apply the CDR, what happened from second element till the last element, it will return so that you are getting 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so it is possible to change the letters, alphabets, CDAR or CADR you can have. So first of all, you have to apply the last one is ARD, you have to look at. Okay, right. So let me see. CDDR. CDDR. D means it is CDR. Okay. So twice D is occurring. So the meaning is CDR of CDR of. Understood? CDR of CDR of. Okay. So CDDR of the list 2 1. What is the value? What is the value? You have to apply CDR first, right? Okay. If you are applying CDR first, what is the value? First CDR will return you what? The list
1.
with the 1. Yes, the list with 1. And then again CDR, if you apply in the list, you have only 1. Okay, so what it will be? The second element is what? There is no second element, so that it is null. It is empty, right? So this is the one. Okay, let us take the another interesting one. CAAR. How many times A is occurring? 3 times. Okay, so what is the meaning? D is occurring? No, it's all related to A for car. Okay, so car off, car off, car off. 3 times it is occurring, so 3 times you are calling car off, car off, car off. Okay, so let us take this particular example. What is the output? What is the output of this?
6, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
6.
Any other answer? What is the first car will do? The first
We
car
will return the list which contains the 7th till 7, ma'am.
till
Like
7. Till 7. This is the first data. This is the first data, and then second data is 8 and 9. Till 7, it will return. The first car will return the list till 7. Okay. And then the next car will return what? Till 1. Yeah. Starting with this inner list. And again, another car, it will operate on this inner list. And what is the first element? It is 6. 6 will be the answer. Okay. So any other students, please answer for this question other than Priya. C D D D R. What is the answer other than Priya? Anyone else? D means what? It's a CDR. CDR means what? From second element to the last element, it will return. Now, how many times D is occurring? 4 times. So that means what? CDR of CDR of CDR of the list. Yeah, 4 times CDR has to be applied. Yeah, any students? Please answer.
Empty list, ma'am.
Empty list, ma'am.
Empty. How come? The first CDR will return 3, 2, 1, and second CDR will return 2, 1. Third CDR will return only 1, and the fourth CDR nothing is there. Empty. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So this is these are all the functions, and many more functions are there. So let us discuss in the next session. Okay. So far, you might have felt that. The subject is very little tough, okay, but once you are going inside and doing all the exercises, you must be familiar with writing the procedure. Now let us concentrate on the data. It's a very simple. So data means for you it is like uh, it's like it's a lightweight, it's a lightweight topic, okay. So after that what we will do is, um, after constructing a complex data, we will apply the complex procedure. Okay, so that will be later we will discuss. Now, as of now, no problem. So far, so good. I hope. Okay, let us meet in the next session.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you, students.